Psychedelics are a big part of San Francisco's high-tech culture. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and many others openly share their experiences online. But do psychedelics actually make you smarter? I'm Dr. Anthony Cave, and I've guided over 1,000 IV ketamine sessions for my patients. And I ask them lots of questions about how their mood improves and also how their cognitive performance and their mental clarity improves throughout their therapy. I'll share my patient stories with you and the latest research on psychedelics and cognitive performance because psychedelics are largely still illegal in the United States outside of these research settings, with the exception of ketamine. And remember that intelligence includes many aspects of your brain function, so I'll be more specific about each one for each compound. Ketamine has been used for over 50 years, originally for anesthesia and more recently for mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic pain. It's technically not a psychedelic, but it's the only legal medication on this list, so I can share real patient stories with you. When we are suffering from these mental health conditions, our cognitive abilities get hijacked, and we lose our perspective, creativity, executive functioning, and other important brain functions. Depression in particular can absolutely reduce markers of our intelligence. My mind was blown as a medical student at Stanford when one of our professors told us that there can be a permanent IQ hit after every major depressive episode. So if ketamine can help rapidly reduce a lot of those symptoms, especially in the IV form that I use with my patients, can ketamine also help prevent cognitive declines or increase our cognitive performance? Absolutely. I've seen it many times in my patients who share things with me like, I can see clearly again, or my brain is out of the fog, or even a patient once told me, I want to learn again. What's more interesting though is whether ketamine can improve our cognitive performance outside of its antidepressant effects. Elon Musk famously said that his investors should want him to continue taking ketamine. And a lot of my patients ask me if ketamine can affect our intelligence and how quickly we can respond to situations. Putting Elon's politics aside and acknowledging that I'm not Elon's doctor, data surprisingly shows pro-neurocognitive effects of ketamine independent of its antidepressant effects. And that means that ketamine indeed might have pro-cognitive effects even for those who are not depressed. Now, I have a whole video on ketamine and intelligence linked below, but in short, changes in neural connections, what we call neuroplasticity, appear to improve memory and processing speed. We call these cold cognition, referring to cognitive processes independent of emotional involvement. Hot cognition, on the other hand, refers to cognitive processes with emotional valence, like reward learning or social perceptions. The catastrophic response to failure observed in many patients with depression is a hallmark of failures of hot cognition. Interestingly, ketamine appears to help both cold and hot cognition. So the bottom line is that ketamine indeed can improve cognitive performance independent of antidepressant and anti-PTSD effects, but I do not use ketamine strictly for cognitive performance in my patients. But if I have a patient with depression or PTSD, I do discuss the potentially pro-cognitive effects of ketamine as an added benefit. In 2005, Steve Jobs famously said, LSD was one of the 2 or 3 most important things I have done in my life. LSD's impact in San Francisco has been felt for decades. LSD was first synthesized by Dr. Albert Hofmann in 1938, and Dr. Hofmann actually sent a handwritten letter to Steve in 2007 asking for his support in LSD research. Because LSD is still illegal in the USA, research is very challenging to conduct and very expensive. Since then, microdosing LSD, meaning taking very small doses of LSD every day, has become very popular here in San Francisco and across the country. While it may be safe, it does not appear to provide significant improvements in mood or cognition over time. However, some short-term benefits have been observed, such as decreased lapses in our attention. At microdosing levels, LSD might not have hallucinogenic properties, but what about at larger doses when people see the visuals? The creativity boosting effects of LSD might be more apparent at those higher doses, but it might come at the cost as well of increased distractibility or decreases in working memory. LSD, like other psychedelics, appears to induce a neuroplastic state of cognitive flexibility that can allow for rebalancing parts of our brain that may engage in more out-of-the-box thinking. It appears this is modulated heavily by the neurotransmitter dopamine in various parts of the brain. So what's the bottom line? Even though Steve Jobs famously said that Bill Gates should have dropped acid for Microsoft to become a more successful company, LSD is still illegal in the USA, and I'm certainly not recommending it to any patients to improve measures of their intelligence. If you're learning something new, please share what you learned with others and hit the like button, and let me know below in the comments if you ever feel like your mental health has impacted your cognitive performance or memory. Hallucinogenic mushrooms were first recorded historically in 1529 by the Franciscan friar Bernardino de Sahagún in Mexico. But it wasn't until 1958 when Dr. Albert Hofmann isolated psilocybin and psilocin, the two main molecules from magic mushrooms responsible for the hallucinogenic effects. Psilocybin is the main molecule that we ingest from mushrooms, and the body converts psilocybin to psilocin to produce those hallucinogenic effects. Recently, many celebrities have shared their psilocybin and mushroom experiences across the internet, but do they actually help them think better? In most studies, psilocybin does not appear to improve healthy adults' cognitive functioning or processing speeds. However, some studies show enhanced attention control, memory, executive function, emotional processing, and emotional empathy. Similar to ketamine, psilocybin may have pro-mental health effects. And indeed, a lot of those pro-cognitive functions were more strongly observed in patients with treatment-resistant depression, suggesting that maybe psilocybin's antidepressive effects were responsible for its pro-cognitive effects. Curiously, creative cognition does appear to improve with psilocybin, at least in some studies, but not all of them. The bottom line is that there is still a lot to learn about psilocybin and how it affects our cognitive processing and what its long-term effects are. And it's still illegal throughout most states in the USA, so I am not recommending it to my patients in California for cognitive enhancement. MDMA was first patented by Merck in 1914 and was used as a psychological aid to facilitate relationship and marriage therapy settings. In fact, it was almost approved for treatment of PTSD in the United States in 2024, but at the last minute the FDA struck that down. Across San Francisco, MDMA is said to increase empathy and social connection. The problem is that it's also toxic to your neurons when used excessively. Justin Bieber in particular has shared his experience with psychedelics, and MDMA in particularly, pretty frighteningly. Recreational MDMA users appear to have dysfunctional serotonin signaling, which may explain the memory deficits that these people experience. Some studies show memory recovery after abstinence from MDMA, but not all. There also appear to be deficits in executive functioning, and together there's a dose-dependent effect, meaning the more MDMA one uses, the greater the degree of these memory and executive functioning deficits. Fortunately, medically supervised MDMA does not appear to have these negative side effects. It's likely in part because there are smaller doses being used and far less frequently. MDMA's ability to reduce PTSD severity may also explain some of its pro-cognitive effects by virtue of reducing the PTSD symptom burden. So it's not clear if pro-cognitive effects from MDMA are independent of its anti-PTSD effects. And because it's still illegal in the United States, I do not recommend this for cognition-enhancing purposes. Ayahuasca is a psychedelic brew that's been used in South America for centuries. It's fascinating because ancient cultures discovered two chemicals that work together to give ayahuasca its effects. One is the psychedelic compound DMT. The other is a class of chemicals called MAOA inhibitors. They work together because DMT is a powerful psychedelic, but it's rapidly broken down by your liver once it enters your body. MAOA inhibitors prevent the breakdown of DMT when it enters your body, so together, and I don't know how ancient chemists figured this out, can actually work together to provide a deep psychedelic or spiritual awakening experience that's often used in these ceremonial settings in South America. Does ayahuasca improve your intelligence though? Research is highly limited, but data from ritual users does demonstrate potential improvements in working memory. And importantly, there doesn't appear to be long-term cognitive decline in ritual users. An earlier study demonstrated improvements in cognitive thinking style in addition to mood and affect. While these measures look promising, and quality of life also appears to improve with ayahuasca, much more research is needed. Because ayahuasca contains DMT, it is still illegal in the USA as well. Similar to ayahuasca, mescaline also has a long history of ceremonial use in North America. Mescaline is produced by several cactus species, most famously the peyote cactus. Radiocarbon dating suggests peyote use as early as 5,700 years ago, though potency appears much lower than present-day mescaline buttons at 2.25% versus 8% seen in some formulations today. Mescaline was chemically isolated in 1896 by Arthur Hefner. And while data is still extremely limited, experience from Navajo Native Americans does not show long-term cognitive deficits with ritual use. So much more study is needed to demonstrate any pro-cognitive effects, and it still remains illegal in the United States, in addition to peyote being an endangered species. So what's the take-home? Should we be using psychedelics to improve our cognitive performance? If you have a mental health condition, you need to know that there can be a significant impact on your brain health, making it urgently important to recognize and treat our mental health conditions. Using psychedelics to directly improve our brain health is still illegal in the United States and is not the solution. The key exception is ketamine, which is legal with a doctor's prescription and can improve mental health conditions and rapidly restore and potentially enhance some cognitive functions. But none of this is medical advice, and you need to speak with your doctor about any mental or physical health problems, including memory declines. Let me know in the comments below what else you want to learn about and share what you learned with others. If you want to learn more about my work in San Francisco, you can click the link below. And remember that you have more power over your health than you've probably ever been told.